Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Mhm. Am I still with you?
Yes, yes.
Yes प्रभु जी,
Now only we can hear you.
but not see you.
Mm. Yeah, but somehow internet, I think, is struggling a bit. There is some issue.
Prabhuji is connecting again, Prabhuji.
Okay महाराज जी।
Hare Krishna, I think I'm back because I'm on LAN.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Vibhav, నీ ఆ వైట్ వైర్ ఇచ్చేసే నాకు.
Now we can hear you. Before we don't know. Now we can hear you.
Hare Krishna. I think I'm available now. Yep.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada.
Not able to see you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. I just need to share the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. 54. I think from beginning. नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिने नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देव गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Reading from Śrīla Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta, Volume 2, Chapter 54. A home in Vrindavan. Prabhupada traveled by train from Bombay to Mathura. Brahmananda carried him in his arms from the train to a waiting car, and within 15 to 25 minutes, Prabhupada was back in Vrindavan. The devotees at the Krishna Balram Mandir were upset to see that Prabhupada's condition had deteriorated so much in the 1 month he had been away. His room was as he had left it, except for the addition of a large double bed. He lay down and they closed the curtains and dimmed the lights. For about 5 minutes he lay still with his eyes closed. Now you are at home, Srila Prabhupada said Tamal Krishna. Still, Srila Prabhupada lay quietly, not moving. Then slowly he brought his hands to his chest, clasped them together, and said, "Thank you." He seemed relieved. "Now you are in the care of Krishna Balaram," said Tamal Krishna. Srila Prabhupada smiled and nodded slightly. "Yes," he said. "Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjaramtam," indicating Krishna, King Kulashekara's prayer to Lord Krishna. "My dear Krishna, please help me die immediately so that the span of my mind may be encircled by the stem of your lotus feet. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, how will it be possible for me to think of you?" Although Srila Prabhupada was in a precarious state, he remained completely fixed in thought of Krishna in one way or another. Krishna's name, his form, his pastimes, or his devotional service. Prabhupada suggested going to see Krishna and Balaram at 9:30, just as he had done before, but his servants advised that he rest today and begin that program tomorrow. "Whatever you desire, I will do," Prabhupada said. Tamal Krishna asked Prabhupada if he wanted the Kaviraj to come. "As you said, Prabhupada, for better or worse, some husband must be there." Prabhupada nodded. "Now manage everything," he said, "and let me think of Krishna Balaram." A little before 4 in the afternoon, while devotees were reading aloud from Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada asked if the temple bell had rung the hour. Even before the temple opening in 1975, ever since the temple opening in 1975, he had insisted that the bell at the front gate be rung every hour to signify the hour and once every half an hour. At first, the temple president had been unable to get a watchman who would remain awake through the night and ring the bell regularly. But Prabhupada had insisted so strongly that temple management had finally established the bell ringing. For Srila Prabhupada, it was more than just a good standard. It was a symbol of entire temple management's effectiveness. If they couldn't even arrange that bell be rung regularly, then could they manage everything else? Now, Srila Prabhupada was saying he thought he heard the bell ring at the wrong time. Tamal Krishna explained it might have been a different bell, and the devotees continued reading Srimad Bhagavatam. But Srila Prabhupada again asked about the bell in the temple dome. As Harishauri rose to go out and check, the bell began loudly ringing 1, 2, 3, 4, properly sounding the hour. This is my concern, said Prabhupada, that such a huge establishment is managed. If not properly managed, then everything will be finished. I don't think that that's going to happen, said Tamal Krishna. We are too much indebted to you to allow what you have established to become spoiled. Please see to that, said Prabhupada. Nevertheless, Srila Prabhupada called for Akshayananda Swami, and as soon as he came into the room, inquired from him, will the bell ring or not? Akshayananda promised to diligently see to it, taking the instruction very seriously, as perhaps his last order from his spiritual master. The pujari entered and gave Prabhupada a large, fragrant tulsi garland from Krishna Balaram, and Prabhupada returned to listening to the reading. Later in the day, he confided to Tamal Krishna about the past few weeks. I must thank you, he said, that you took me to London and again brought me here without any difficulty. That is a great credit for you. For that, I am thanking you. In this condition, a bundle of bones, still you did it. Krishna will bless you. Hari Sauri had obtained another detailed astrological chart on Srila Prabhupada from Delhi. This astrologer recommended a mantra to Lord Shiva to be chanted by 10 Brahmanas for 21 days. We have the Maha Mantra, said Srila Prabhupada. There is no need of others. He spoke disapprovingly of the suggestion. Are these astrological charts very much applicable for devotees? Srila Prabhupada asked Hari Shauri. No, said Prabhupada. Don't waste money for this astrology. Srila Prabhupada's faith was only in Kirtan. Tamal Krishna suggested they again have continuous Kirtan, and Prabhupada said, this is real business. These astrologers are karmis. So we have nothing to do with the karmis. In response to Srila Prabhupada's call, the 23 GBC members again began gathering in Vrindavan. They arrived heavy-hearted, yet on coming before Srila Prabhupada, they were pleased to give him progress reports on their preaching on his behalf. Srila Prabhupada was happy to hear the reports and was as encouraging as ever to his leaders despite his condition. Hamsadutta Swami was one of the first to arrive from Sri Lanka. Srila Prabhupada instructed him to develop farm projects there, as Kirtanananda Swami had done in New Vrindavan. Sometimes, when preaching, said Hamsadutta, I tell them, what kind of country is this? The land is of the Rajarshis and some ladies running the government. Do not touch politics, Prabhupada warned. We are cultural and philosophy. Prabhupada began dealing with Giriraj over the bank matters. The local Vrindavan bank was reluctant to allow a withdrawal from an ISKCON fund, and Srila Prabhupada had to be called in for advice. He gave keen practical strategy for solving the problem, but he asked to be spared these things in the future. Devotees in the rooms were amazed to see Prabhupada still dealing expertly with such affairs. When Giriraj apologized to Prabhupada for involving him, Prabhupada replied, therefore I said, do the needful. Actually, Prabhupada's calling the GBC men together had been so they could chant for him. Now, more than ever, He wanted the medicine of the holy name, not of the doctors. When he heard that his friend Dr. Ghosh was coming to Vrindavan to open a clinic and that he could prescribe treatment, he refused the offer. These doctors will come and give something to try and save. He said, I don't want to be saved. Mr. Ghosh may come for the clinic. He wants to develop, but not for my treatment. Tamal Krishna asked if they could at least call in some local Vrindavan doctor. No, said Prabhupada. Let us take your advice for Kirtan only. Tamal Krishna agreed that Kirtan was best because in that way they were pleading for Krishna's help. Better you don't pray to Krishna to save me, said Srila Prabhupada. Let me die now. Prabhupada then asked to sit up. If Amsadutta is not tired, he said, he can continue singing. When Harikesh had received the call to come immediately to Vrindavan, he had been told to expect the worst. Immediately he contacted his printer, who was in the process of completing several books, and told him that he must have advance copies by the next day. So by the time he got on the plane for India, he had newly printed volumes of second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in German, the Krishna trilogy in German, and Yugoslavian Sri Ishopanishad. But when he arrived at Srila Prabhupada's door in Vrindavan, a devotee told him he could not bring the books to Prabhupada now. Why not? Harikesh asked. This is not the kind of mood we are trying to create here, the devotee explained. What, are you crazy? Exclaimed Harikesh. Books are Prabhupada's life and soul. He went in and showed Prabhupada the 7 new books. Immediately, Prabhupada took the first volume of Krishna trilogy and held it up, looking at the cover painting of Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada began crying and reached out, trying to stroke Harikesh's head. Harikesh reached out and held Srila Prabhupada's hand, thinking himself unworthy of being patted. He was rotting here, typewriting, said Prabhupada, referring to when Harikesh had been in his secretary just before going to preach in Europe. I said, you go. I have 10 servants. You thought that I was degrading you by sending you away? No. Now you understand? Yes, I understand, said Harikesh, sobbing. Here is an intelligent boy, I thought, said Srila Prabhupada. Why should he rot here typewriting? Prabhupada looked at each book. Printing and everything is first class, he said. He asked how many had been printed, and Harikesh replied 120,000 Krishna trilogies, 60,000 Srimad Bhagavatam second cantos, and 10,000 Ishopanishads. Can you distribute that Ishopanishad? Prabhupada asked. Harikesh assured him that they could definitely distribute the book in Yugoslavia. Then print more, said Prabhupada. They continued discussing book production. Books were in Srila Prabhupada's life and soul. From Harikesh entering with the new books, Prabhupada had felt a profound ecstasy that he had spread to Harikesh and all the devotees present. Everyone was keenly aware that what they were experiencing was transcendental, a special reciprocation with Srila Prabhupada, and as long as they were sincere, it would not die. Now you just have to become better, said Harikesh. More healthy. Healthy, said Srila Prabhupada. I have nothing to do with this body. During one of the long Kirtan vigils, Brahmananda was present and Srila Prabhupada called him forward. He wanted to give him last instruction about Africa. Prabhupada was lying down and Brahmananda had to put his ear near Srila Prabhupada's mouth to hear. The other devotees in the room also hushed and came as close as possible. With Navayogendra, Prabhupada said in a hoarse whisper, the both of you, South Africa also, there gradually the people are taking try to bring Pushta Krishna back. He is very competent. So jointly organize Africa, have Sankirtan, all European, American, Africans. Tulsidas is very competent also. United Nations under Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's flag. It is possible, otherwise that United Nations will be simply false attempt. You said that when you first came to New York, replied Brahmananda, urgently recalling his first days with Srila Prabhupada. You went to the United Nations. The very first day I came to the Kirtan there in New York. The next day you went for that peace vigil outside the United Nations and you were chanting Hare Krishna and saying that this Krishna consciousness is the only method for making United Nations. That is a fact. said Prabhupada. Try for the protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and things will be successful. Others, they will simply waste time and be disappointed and change the body and suffer. Prabhupada changed the subject, but Brahmananda was satisfied. He had been given enough service for many lifetimes. Kuladra came into the room on behalf of Kirtanananda Swami with gifts for Srila Prabhupada. An 8,000 check, $8,000 check, a sapphire ring, a gold medallion studded with sapphires and rubies. So why don't you find out such bride? Some bride, Srila Prabhupada remarked, and the devotee's sudden laughter broke the room's solemn mood. Accepting the ring on his finger, Srila Prabhupada said, someone should take care of the other valuables. Kuladri said he had also one request to make on behalf of Kirtanananda Swami. Kirtanananda Maharaj said that you have asked us to pray to Krishna before, but he says he doesn't feel qualified to pray to Krishna. So he is asking that you please pray to Krishna for us because we cannot pray to Krishna directly. We don't know Krishna, but if you ask, Krishna must be sure to fulfill your desire. So would you please pray to Krishna to stay with us? We want you to come to the palace that we are building in New Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada, if it is possible. I wish, said Srila Prabhupada, but unless I become a little strong, how can I go? We have also brought some sweets and ice cream, said Kuladri. He knew that Prabhupada could not take it, but he asked if he could just at least take a little taste. Prabhupada agreed, and a small piece of ice cream was put on his tongue. First class, he said. Later, Kirtananda arrived, and Prabhupada asked for a report on New Vrindavan. Everything is going very nicely, Prabhupada, said Kirtanananda. Your palace is almost finished. Already many people are coming every day to see it. It will be finished in a couple of months. The other day, a lady went in and she turned to one of her boys and said, I cannot tell you what I'm feeling. It is so wonderful. Yes, said Prabhupada. It is wonderful in that quarter. He paused, reflecting, let us see which palace I am going to. Srila Prabhupada asked Kirtanananda to take back his valuable gifts and use them for New Vrindavan. You require money, said Prabhupada. So you take back and utilize it there. This is my request. Thank you very much, said Kirtanananda. Most of all, we want you, though. Yes, I also, said Srila Prabhupada. And if I survive, I have a strong desire to go where you are and live there. I will be a, it will be a great pleasure. Kirtanananda had pictures of palace and Prabhupada sat up to see them. You are fulfilling my dream, he said. New Vrindavan, I dreamt all these things, wonderful things he has done. He is the first student from the very beginning. When I was in the storefront, he was bringing carpets, bench, some gong, some lamps. In Vrindavan, Giriraj had seen Prabhupada a number of times, mostly on business. He also regularly took his turn in the Kirtan vigils in Prabhupada's room. But one day, wanting to take full advantage of Vrindavan, he went to visit some of the temples. At the end of the day, he took rest for the night on the roof of the Gurukul building. But in the middle of night, he was awakened by a devotee saying Prabhupada wanted to see him. He ran down immediately, aware that Prabhupada might pass away at any moment. Anything Prabhupada might say could be his last words. He came into Prabhupada's room, offered obeisances, and got up very close beside the bed. Do you think this movement can go on without me? Prabhupada asked. Giriraj was astounded that Prabhupada had called him in the middle of night to ask him this. I think, said Giriraj, that as long as we are sincere and go on chanting Hare Krishna and follow the principles, the movement will be successful. Srila Prabhupada was silent. When he spoke, each word seemed to come with great effort. He uttered the word organization. Then he said organization and intelligence. Is there anything else? Giriraj felt within his heart that he wanted to cry out, Srila Prabhupada, stay with us, but instead he said, no. All right, Prabhupada said, and Giriraj offered obeisances and left. Outside Prabhupada's room, Giriraj continued to reflect on Prabhupada's words, organization and intelligence. Prabhupada seemed to be demanding much more love and commitment. Not that ISKCON could survive on organization and intelligence alone. Giriraj was thinking that perhaps these might be the last words Prabhupada would ever speak to him. Paramananda, the temple president of Prabhupada's Pennsylvania farm project, Gita Nagari, also came to be with him, with Prabhupada. So organize this farm project, said Srila Prabhupada. Simple living. Human life is meant for God realization. Try to help them. We are always feeling your presence very strongly, Srila Prabhupada, said Paramananda. Simply by your teachings and instructions, we are always meditating on your instructions. Thank you, said Srila Prabhupada. That is the real presence. Physical presence is not important. Paramananda had brought a letter from his wife Satyabhama. Tamal Krishna asked if he should read it, and Prabhupada agreed. Tamal Krishna read on. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances, all nourished your divine grace. This shawl is made of wool from our own sheep. It is spun and woven here at Gita Nagari. It is the first piece we had made. While I was working on it, I would always think of you, how I was supposedly making you a gift. But actually, you are giving me the gift of engagement in the devotional service. Srila Prabhupada, I always pray to Lord Narasimhadev to protect you and allow you to stay with us to finish your books. But I think today the rain falling from the sky is actually the tears of demigods crying at the prospect of your departure. I am also crying. Even Krishna cried at the passing of grandfather Bhishma. So I have a right to cry. I cannot be philosophical to say that you are also present in your books and teachings, and though I know these things are true, I will miss you so much, Srila Prabhupada, if you go. I beg that I may always remain your menial servant and devotee, your humble devotee, Satyabhama Dasi. Thank her, said Srila Prabhupada, and he reached for the shawl made with our wool. So, you will take rest now, Srila Prabhupada, suggested Tamal Krishna. Said Prabhupada, this can be on the foot. And he gestured that the saffron colored shawl be put as a blanket on his bed. Tears came from his eyes as he lay back. Srila Prabhupada was becoming more and more in favor of departing from the world. When Tamal Krishna remarked that Prabhupada was not drinking much, he replied that he had no inclination. I don't know what to say, Srila Prabhupada, said Tamal Krishna. It's certainly bewildering. I can only expect somehow Krishna will have to do something. Tamal Krishna requested again that they bring a doctor. Still, some husband must be there, you said. Tamal Krishna reminded, we should have a doctor's help. I still believe that. After all, we are not doctors. No, said Prabhupada, but we are already taking help of Dr. Ayurveda. This is Yogendra Ras. You are just beginning that now, of course, said Tamal Krishna. Tomorrow you might give it up. Then what will be our position? Widow, said Prabhupada with a laugh. Then he added, actually, Krishna is the ultimate husband. The devotees with Prabhupada found it very difficult to adopt his mode of looking forward to his passing away. Once during a kirtan, Upendra asked if Prabhupada wanted something to drink. When Prabhupada refused, some of the devotees began to cry, thinking that if Prabhupada didn't eat or even drink, he would not remain with them much longer. The devotees were trying to be submissively resigned to Prabhupada's will, and they accepted that his direction was more and more toward leaving. They were coming to accept it, surrounding him with kirtan and not causing him any inconvenience with their problems or demands. Whatever he wanted, they should want. But the idea of his passing away was still almost unbearable. In their resignation, the devotees became philosophical. Rupanuga said Prabhupada could be likened to an ambassador in a foreign country. He may have many affairs in the foreign countries, but finally he is called back. Jay Advaita said that Prabhupada had taught his disciples everything and that now he was teaching them how to die. Another devotee said that Prabhupada had better friends in the spiritual world. In their talks, the devotees stressed the importance of their cooperating with one another, and they discussed how ISKCON would continue in the future. But it was all depressing. Nevertheless, they kept returning to the unpleasant but unavoidable realization that Prabhupada would very soon leave them. With Prabhupada so clear indicating that he had decided to definitely leave, the devotees were becoming despondent. At best, a solemn mood prevailed. Then Srila Prabhupada said they should consult Narayan Maharaj, a disciple of Prabhupada's sannyas guru, for details on how to conduct the ceremony for a departed Vaishnava. He He also described where his samadhi should be located and asked then, after his departure, a feast be served in all the main temples in Vrindavan, with ISKCON bearing the expense. On one level, everything seemed to go on as usual. The October weather was very pleasant. The Gurukul boys were continuing with their routine, and the deity worship went on as usual. But in front of the temple, workmen began clearing a space for Prabhupada's samadhi. After several days of Prabhupada not eating or drinking, Tamal Krishna tried again, but gently. You don't want to drink anything today? Let me drink Harinama Amiya Vilasa, said Srila Prabhupada. Here, Srila Prabhupada is quoting a song in by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, chanting the holy name is my only pastime. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai, said Harishauri. Harinama is the sweetest nectar. Nivritti tarsay upagiya manad bhavaushadhat. Prabhupada quoted, this is Bhavaushada Hari Kirtan. Here, Srila Prabhupada is referring to a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.4, where in hearing about Krishna is described as a medicine to cure the material disease of taking birth in a material world again and again and suffering. Jayadvaita completed the verse. Bhauchadat Shrota Manobhiramat. Prabhupada acknowledged. And Charanamrita, diet and medicine. Let me depend on these. Although he was fasting, Srila Prabhupada inquired about the prasadam being served to the devotees. Now 100 or more extra devotees were at the temple and more were expected. This time, what do they supply? Asked Prabhupada. What they supply? Said Tamal Krishna. You mean prasada? Of course, today is the day after Ekadashi, so they had some cereal made with gur and some fruit salad made with gavas and bananas. That was all this morning. Lunch is usually substantial, very good. This is the best prasadam that we have had in many years in India. The cook, Ayodhyapati, is doing very nicely. Do you want to know what he cooks for lunch? Proper nodded slightly. He cooks an aloo sabji with dal sauce. Tamal Krishna continued, and he makes bhindi, very nicely spiced dal, roti, rice, apple chutney, and dahi raita every day. Prabhupada asked who assisted Ayodhyapati. He didn't want any hired cooks. Only devotees are cooking, said Tamal Krishna. And it is very tasteful. And every day, about 125 devotees, sits together and takes prasadam. And the guests from the guest house also take. Everyone take together. Everybody liked? Asked Prabhupada, smiling. Yes, oh yes, was the combined reply of the devotees in the room. They all crowded close around Prabhupada's bed. That's nice, said Prabhupada. You are the perfect father, Srila Prabhupada, said one of the devotees. You provide everything for us, a place to live, food to eat, everything, and you are trained us in the spiritual knowledge. Prabhupada uttered one of his deep sounds. Hmm. Then he said, chant all together, and assembled devotees gladly began a kirtan. The room was very dark except for a night light behind the head of Srila Prabhupada's bed. Devotees were chanting softly, using only one tiny pair of kartals for keeping rhythm. Tripurari Swami was massaging Srila Prabhupada's feet, Bhagat Ji his right leg, and Tamal Krishna his left arm. Suddenly, Narayan Maharaj from the Devananda Saraswati Mutt in Mathura entered along with his two of his men. Prabhupada's disciples immediately gave him a seat at the side of the bed. Srila Prabhupada began speaking, but so softly that Narayan Maharaj had to lean over to hear. Seeing a conversation about to begin, the devotees in the room, numbering about 15 or 20, moved in closer. Srila Prabhupada began. Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, said that we should preach in Europe, America. That was his desire. And his own other desire was that we all would work together jointly to preach. Yes, that is right, said Narayan Maharaj. I didn't waste a single moment, said Srila Prabhupada. I tried my best and it has been successful to some extent. Srila Prabhupada's voice was choked with emotion. If we worked conjointly, he continued, then as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prithviyate, Sankirtan has great possibilities. My life is coming to an end. It is my desire that you all forgive me for my mistakes. My God brothers, when you are preaching at times there are some disputes, some misunderstandings. Maybe I also committed some offenses like that. Please ask them to forgive me. When I am gone, you will all sit together and decide how you can manage for my utsava or festival for me. How much should we pay? What do you think of this? Hmm. Yeah, here Srila Prabhupada refers to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction that Krishna consciousness would spread to every town and village in the world. Whatever instructions you give me, said Narayan Maharaj, I will follow them with absolute sincerity. I consider you as my Guru. Narayan Maharaj said that what Srila Prabhupada had created should be protected and it was everyone's duty to do so. He pledged to help in whatever way he could. Srila Prabhupada inquired if his god brothers who had temples in Mathura, Vrindavan were present, and Narayan Maharaj replied that most of them were out of station. Regarding Srila Prabhupada asking his god brothers for forgiveness, Narayan Maharaj said, they are all trivial things. In this worldwide preaching, if some little things go wrong here and there, what difference does it make? It is all right. Whatever you have done for the well-being of entire human society. There is no individual interest. Everything was done in the interest of God. He advised that Srila Prabhupada not worry. His disciples were worthy and would maintain things. Therefore, Prabhupada should now simply think of the Lord. Narayan Maharaj then asked his assistant Sheshasai Brahmachari to sing Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. While everyone listened in silence and Srila Prabhupada lay still, Sheshasai Brahmachari sang the song very softly. Next, Narayan Maharaj sang a bhajan, finishing with refrain Jai Gurudev, Jai Prabhupada. After a pause, Narayan Maharaj spoke again, this time referring to Srila Prabhupada's disciple. They should be told that they should never get motivated by their own self interest, he said. They should make your mission successful. Srila Prabhupada turned his head slowly, looking over the devotees as they gathered in even more closely. Then slowly he lifted his hand as if to call them all to the attention and said, do not fight among yourselves. I have given directions in my books. He then lowered his hand. Prabhupada's god brother Indupati entered the room. Srila Prabhupada heard his greeting and repeated his request. First of all, I want to say, forgive me for all my offenses. I didn't want to hurt anyone, but while preaching, one has to sometimes say something that may offend others. Will you forgive me? Yes, yes, Indupati said. Maharaj, you didn't commit any offense, said Narayan Maharaj. We never thought you that you did anything wrong. On the other hand, you bless us. We need it. You never did any wrong. If someone is offended by your actions, that is his fault. Narayan Maharaj then gently took Prabhupada's right hand and felt his pulse. After a moment or two, he said, pulse is all right, and your consciousness is perfect. If you have to go by the will of Lord, then you will go perfectly. Promising to return again, Narayan Maharaj asked permission to leave, and he and Indupati and their party left the room. Srila Prabhupada's disciple moved back and remained silent, not wanting to instigate any conversation to unnecessarily tax Prabhupada. They appreciated Narayan Maharaj's words, but it was another final goodbye. Before the atmosphere of despair could engulf them, they began again their soft singing kirtan. Early morning in October, as Srila Prabhupada continued fasting from food and drink, Upendra made an innocent but somewhat impertinent complaint. How can you refuse to drink? He asked. What is wrong if I don't drink? Srila Prabhupada replied. I feel no inconvenience. Upendra added that if Srila Prabhupada didn't drink, his body would become dehydrated. Prabhupada made no reply and Upendra left the room. What about water? Abhiram asked. Srila Prabhupada thought for a moment and said, so you discuss among yourselves and decide what you want me to do. Discuss? He seemed to be speaking of more than the merits of drinking water. Discuss about recovery? Asked Abhiram. I don't want, said Srila Prabhupada. You say you don't want recovery? Srila Prabhupada? Yes, said Srila Prabhupada. Abhiram then went to the other outer room, the secretary's reception room, where some of the GBC men were sitting together. He dutifully mentioned what Prabhupada had just said to discuss among themselves about his recovery. But Abhiram's remark didn't seem like news. Devotees were already well aware that Prabhupada was making almost no attempt to carry on. They were resigned to it. Srila Prabhupada wanted to leave now, so to die peacefully. They had been trying to encourage him to drink, but now he was determined to simply fast until the right time came. Whether they could accept it or not, it was happening. Therefore, Abhiram's comment provoked no formal discussion. That afternoon, Prabhupada called for Tamal Krishna, who was at that time taking his lunch. Tamal Krishna responded at once and entered the room along with several other GBC men. They all came very close to hear what Prabhupada wanted to say. If I want to survive, he said, of course I'll have to take something. His words came slowly but with difficulty. It is not possible to survive without taking any food, but my survival means so many inconveniences one after another. Therefore, I have decided to die peacefully. His voice trailed off, and everyone was too stunned to speak. They sat looking almost blankly at him as he lay with his eyes closed. He occasionally made a noise like and only after several very long minutes did Tamal Krishna manage to ask Prabhupada if they should continue with the kirtan. By this time, more devotees, having finished lunch, were entering the room and they began softly singing kirtan. Tamal Krishna leaned forward and assured Prabhupada about the stipend payments for his former family. Prabhupada acknowledged. Don't worry, said Tamal Krishna. I'll see that each of them is satisfied. They won't feel sorry in any way. You have provided for everyone, Srila Prabhupada. After a few minutes, Prabhupada turned his attention to Harishauri, who was sobbing silently near Prabhupada's head. With some sternness in his voice, Prabhupada asked, why do you want me to survive? Harishauri could not speak. He felt that if he asked Prabhupada to stay, it would be an offense, since he had already decided to leave. Harishauri could not keep his emotions in check, and yet he did not want to say, stay and struggle. Neither did he nor any of others want Prabhupada to leave. Somehow Tamal Krishna had not caught Prabhupada's last remark to Harishauri, and so he leaned forward towards Prabhupada, half questioning. They want you to survive? If I want to die, said Srila Prabhupada, this is a very peaceful death. You go on chanting. As the Kirtan continued, Tamal Krishna asked to be excused. Prabhupada asked why, and he replied he was going for discussion. For discussion, said Prabhupada, they want me to survive. I want to die peacefully. I cannot make miracles. The physical body has to be maintained if I am to survive. But without taking food, how the physical body will go on? That is fanatism. Everything is in the hands of Krishna, said Tamal Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's eyes had been closed, but suddenly he opened them and said, Krishna wants me to do as I like. The choice is mine. Krishna has given me full freedom. These words struck some of the devotees as extremely startling and different, but Brahmananda spoke up in the mood of resigned assurance. It doesn't matter whether you live or die, Prabhupada, he said. You will always be with Krishna, and we will always be with you because we will follow your instructions. Whether I live or die, Prabhupada said, I will always be Krishna's servant. So if Brahmananda has assured me that this movement will go on, then better let me die peacefully. The devotees who were only inches away from Prabhupada heard these faint words with dismay. After a few minutes of heavy silence, they resumed the kirtan. Prabhupada seemed to rest. Within a few minutes, all the available GBC men and senior sannyasis were gathered in the outer room. Brahmananda was feeling very low that he had told Prabhupada that everything would go on without him, and that Prabhupada had replied that he would therefore die. die. The devotees remained amazed at Prabhupada's statement that Krishna had given him freedom to do as he liked. These words now struck like a thunderbolt. With these words, Krishna has given me the choice. Prabhupada turned all the devotees' mind in a different direction. Abhiram reminded them that Prabhupada wanted them to discuss about his recovery, and now they were having that discussion. But they were confused and bewildered by the sudden change in Prabhupada's mood. Kirtanananda, the senior-most disciple, spoke up with the clarity and logic. If Krishna has given Srila Prabhupada the independence to choose, That means he also has given us the independence. So we should assert our independence and ask Prabhupada to stay. One by one, devotees spoke in support of decision to ask Srila Prabhupada to stay. Yes, it was a fact that Krishna consciousness movement would go on without Srila Prabhupada's physical presence, but it wouldn't be the same. Yes, and Prabhupada hasn't finished translating the Srimad Bhagavatam, said Brahmananda. Yes, said another, we should ask Srila Prabhupada to stay for at least 5 or 10 years. 5 or 10 years? We should ask him to stay for 100 years. But not all of the GBC members are here to decide. Well, who in the GBC is going to say that we shouldn't ask Prabhupada to stay? They were in agreement. They did want Prabhupada to stay and they should express their desire to him. The mood of last few days has suddenly reversed. They were no longer in the depths of despair, but were thinking of positively and enthusiastically that Srila Prabhupada would stay with them. Why should we think that there is no hope for him to become fit again? Said Kirtanananda. Jesus could bring people back to life from the dead, and even mundane yogis can do it. So Srila Prabhupada certainly can if he wants. Now Brahmananda spoke up with great strength. We weren't realizing that actually we need Prabhupada. That should be the understanding. There is no question of allowing Prabhupada out of our presence for a moment. It was about 3:30 p.m. and 20 devotees entered Srila Prabhupada's room and crowded around his bed. Srila Prabhupada lay with his eyes closed, motionless but alert to their presence. Kirtanananda Swami had been chosen to be the spokesman, and as he leaned over to speak to Srila Prabhupada, his lips began to tremble. His eyes filled with tears, and he broke down, sobbing with his head at side of the bed. Srila Prabhupada reached out but could not find Kirtanananda. Who? Said Prabhupada. Many voices spoke Kirtanananda. Srila Prabhupada then laid his hand on Kirtanananda's head and gently rubbed it. So what do you want? He asked. No one could say anything as they were all waiting for Kirtanananda. Brahmananda was rubbing Kirtanananda on the back to soothe him, and Tamal Krishna was encouraging him to try to say something. Finally, after another minute of emotional waiting, Kirtananda raised his head. He looked at Srila Prabhupada and pleaded, if Krishna gives you the choice, then don't go. We need you. So this is your joint opinion? Asked Srila Prabhupada. You have discussed? He held his hand in the air and moved it around so as to indicate all the devotees. Brahmananda Swami spoke up very emotionally but positively. We have all met together, Srila Prabhupada. We want you to remain and lead this movement and finish the Srimad Bhagavatam. We said that you must remain for at least another 10 years. You have only done 50% of your work. Srila Prabhupada was listening very carefully without any movement, but when Brahmananda said 50%, he frowned and said no. Finally, he uttered whom he was considering the proposal. His eyes were closed and he seemed to be consulting Krishna from within himself. Several times he uttered and everyone was held in suspense, not able to speak or think of or do anything except look intently at Srila Prabhupada. Then, with his eyes still closed, he yawned and his gold teeth began to show. All right, he said. It was probably the most casual sounding decision on life or death ever made. At that moment, the devotees understood Srila Prabhupada's independent position. He could stay or go as he chose. They had become so faithless, however, that they were thinking that his passing away was inevitable and could not possibly be delayed, even by Srila Prabhupada himself. Now he displayed his wonderful transcendental nature with a simple yarn, all right, as if choosing between life and death was the most unimportant thing in the world. Harikesh gave a short laugh and the kind that he saved for when Srila Prabhupada did something completely transcendental, incomprehensible, and inimitable. Jai Prabhupada said, he said. Prabhupada had again proven himself to be beyond understanding. The devotees laughed nervously, unsure what was appropriate. Not knowing whether to laugh or cry, they fell silent again to see what Prabhupada would do. So, give me something to drink, he said, and all the devotees shouted, Jai Prabhupada. He would stay with them. It was confirmed. Everyone was greatly relieved. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is the real affection, Prabhupada replied. The atmosphere had changed. Srila Prabhupada had changed. His servants lifted him up, and all the devotees watched as he drank a full glass of grape juice. Now, instead of withdrawing his energy as he had done steadily for the last few days, he came back to to life again. Then he lay back. Thank you very much, he said, Hare Krishna. And the devotees replied, Hare Krishna. So this was what Prabhupada wanted. He was drawing out their emotions and increasing their affection for him more and more by putting them into a state of transcendental distress. Now they could understand, at least to a tiny degree, what the gopis' pangs of separation were like. Srila Prabhupada was bringing his disciples to the extremes of devotional sentiments and showing that actually their lives were in his hands. After a long pause, he asked, Strawberries, they have been brought? Yes, Srila Prabhupada, said Tamal Krishna. Very nice strawberries. I will take some strawberries, he said. Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna said, You gave your word to Krishna in Bombay that you would see him sitting in his new big temple, and you have yet to keep your word to him. Prabhupada smiled very brightly. You have fixed the date for the opening of Bombay, said Brahmananda. January the 1st. So we would like to invite you to come. Srila Prabhupada, it is your temple. You have asked Krishna to come there. When we all gave up, you carried on the fight. Yes, that was a great fight, said Prabhupada, smiling. After so much fighting, and then to construct a big temple is a great triumph. I don't think Krishna will come into the temple, said Tamal Krishna, unless you are personally there, Srila Prabhupada, to open the door. Prabhupada was still smiling. All right, he said, but chanting should not be stopped. Things should go on naturally. Turning to Kirtanananda, Prabhupada asked, Kirtananda's palace, when it will be ready? In early spring, Kirtanananda replied, as soon as the weather is a little warmer. It gives you the chance to have a little time to recuperate, then go to Bombay and open the temple there, and then you can come open your palace. We have about 25 letters from all the devotees in New Vrindavan, and they are all begging you to come. They say their life is finished if you don't come. So let me take a little rest, said Prabhupada, and then I shall take strawberries. Later that day, Srila Prabhupada was speaking more audibly and quoting verses, including the Ishopanishad verse that says, One who acknowledges the Supreme Personality of Godhead can go on living for hundreds of years. He sat up and drank some vegetable broth. He also talked for half an hour with Giriraj about the bank matters, repeatedly questioning him to make sure he understood. He also spoke at length with Rameshwar Swami about preaching Krishna consciousness in Iran. Word spread quite quickly to the devotees throughout the world. Then Prabhupada had decided to live. es- that Prabhupada had decided to live, especially in Vrindavan, where gloom had pervaded. The devotees were now hearted and thankful. They spoke more enthusiastically about preaching. All the devotees in Vrindavan agreed that everything Srila Prabhupada had been doing was for instructing his disciples. Previously, there had been discussion of Srila Prabhupada's teaching them how to die, but now there was more awareness that he was teaching them how to live by love. He was doing this by increasing their love for him. Some of the devotees felt that the instruction Srila Prabhupada was giving now was his ultimate instruction, the motive for everything he did. The basis for Krishna consciousness was in fact love. Srila Prabhupada had written in his books Prema Pumartva Mahan. Love of Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. Only when a devotee develops pure, unalloyed love for Krishna could he go to the spiritual world. Some of the devotees said that to bring all the devotees to a higher, purer love, Prabhupada was remaining in the material world and offering his disciples the opportunity to serve him very intimately in Vrindavan. Other devotees, however, considered Srila Prabhupada's activities too grave for them to understand and simply accepted these pastimes as achintya, inconceivable. But everyone could at least understand either by witnessing or hearing reports that Srila Prabhupada had responded to his disciples' dependent cries of love by saying, This is real affection. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for this wonderful, chapter, Prabhuji. I think it was very deep. And it also took us through a lot of emotions. Initially, I was thinking how you are able to read it so strongly, because it was like as if Srila Prabhupada was going to depart. But then this magical comeback, and the sheer thought process of positivity. I think I forgot that Prabhuji's name, but he said like, if if Krishna has given Srila Prabhupada the freedom, the free will, then we also have the free will to request. I think it was very beautiful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And uh, in my little knowledge, I think this was one of the best chapters, because felt like Prabhupada was going to leave, and then
Mm.
so very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah. So how I could read is yeah, was more challenging because I could uh, see through these lines how my own Guru Maharaj, yeah, Kadam Karan Maharaj,
Yes,
when he
Prabhuji.
was departing, how things circumstances were. I was relating how um, in these days now I'm hearing a lot of how people are leaving. Uh, so and yeah, when we see here how Prabhupada has left everything in the hands of disciples,
Yes, Prabhuji.
and
And
the disciples, yeah, when they really discussed and yeah, unanimously came back. That is a great sign that
yes,
I think time of test was there to see how everyone together.
yes,
And in fact, yeah, who doesn't want him to stay with them for longer? And of course, if you see all the names that we came across, they were not ordinary disciples. They everyone were very very influential even after Prabhupada left.
yes, Prabhuji.
They
Jai Jai
have
Maharaj.
established so many things. Kirtanananda Maharaj is there, Brahmananda Maharaj is there, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Everyone are extremely uh, empowered disciples. Yeah. So yeah, we can see they are very very special. Yeah, we see about Giriraj Maharaj and yeah, Harishori Prabhu. So many great personalities here we can see who have yeah saved Prabhupada for a few more days so that we can have more Bhagavatam directly from Prabhupada. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, absolutely. And also this change in the mood was very, inspiring and surprising, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Others.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for reading this wonderful chapter. Like Prabhu said, yeah, it was very wonderful chapter. So yeah, I think we all felt that Prabhupada was about to leave, but then yeah, it was very nice to hear that he had the independence to choose to live or die. And yeah,
I'm still amazed
depending on
how could Satsvarup Maharaj still make it so vivid, right? So it's so
yes,
lively
yes,
that as if like we were sitting with Prabhupada. Yeah,
yes,
as
Prabhuji.
as if like we are passive listeners in that discussion panel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah, I also felt that Prabhupada wanted to teach his disciples some important instructions. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah. Of course, we can't quote this as a miracle to others, yeah, but it's in fact a miracle.
yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Mhm. Okay, then yeah, see you us tomorrow. Thank you very much. Prabhupada की जय, सतस्वरूप गोस्वामी महाराज की जय।
Yeah.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.